Hello, Wilds. Lauren Wild here, the Church Witch. I know I'm looking a little bit like a hot mess, but that's okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Leo season. Today, the sun moves into the constellation of Leo, the fire sign that represents the lion, which is leadership, courage, bravery, creativity. It is the archetype of the father. And it is bold, right? So, the last month, not month, but the last 30-ish days have been ruled by Cancer, and it has all us in our feels, and it was a big check-in on our emotional health, and if we are nurturing ourselves and bringing awareness to our bodies and bringing awareness to our intuition, and bringing awareness to our homes, right? So during Cancer season, we had 3 eclipses. The first one was a solar eclipse that lined up with Litha at 0 degrees of Cancer. The second one at the lunar eclipse at 13 degrees of Capricorn full moon. And then the one that we just had on Monday was a 28-degree new moon and it wasn't an eclipse. The one before that was Sagittarius. But anyways, we've been in like this massive change period of time, and it has been a damn emotional roller coaster. I'm sure that you probably agree with that. I as well have been on the ride. I don't like going on the ride all the time, but I learned a lot of things. And so, it is definitely time for us to start to kind of like burn up some of the emotion mind and, kind of step back into bravery and letting ourselves be seen. Leo is ruled by the sun, which is the center of the universe. And in a lot of ways, a lot of Leo placements, wherever Leo placement is for you, is like where you want to be seen, where you want the world to revolve around you, right? We all have that in us. The sun represents our spirit and in our incarnation, and also the way we want to be seen, right? So look to where Leo is in your natal chart, and that is where the sun is going to be highlighting areas for you in your life. So for example, my Leo is my midheaven. It's at the very top of my chart, which is the most public part of my chart. It's always time period where like whatever I've been doing for the last year, like really starts to get seen, and that's either good or bad. You're in the spotlight regardless. Leo's all about the spotlight. Leo tends to be the ruler of also theater and acting. It's also rules things like the camera and videography, creativity. It is very much about performance. Okay. So why all of that's important is because of the fact that it is a fire sign, but at the same time, we also have Mars making his way pretty well through Aries. And so Aries is the initiator of the zodiac. It's also the child of the zodiac. And it is also a fire sign. And so we've got a good amount of fire in the sky coming up, y'all. And so it feels really good when you transition from one sign to another always, because it's like we've been drowning in it. The next thing is like, then we get into it and then we're like, when's the next season coming, right? And it's just 2020 is just a hot mess, y'all. Like it's just a hot mess. We are still in the retro shade, which the retro shade is not the grade. It is like the shadow period where, the planet is starting to go direct over all of the aspects that it went when it was retrograde. And so what was once a review period is now an action period, and it is a progress report of like, all right, you became aware of this a month ago. Are you ready to like take action now? Or are you still going to keep doing the same loop, right? So what I pulled some cards for this week, the card that I pulled was to loosen your grip. It was also Child of the Cosmos and Hyrith. So it says coping mechanisms, density addiction, let the God in, Child of the Cosmos, intelligence of the universe lies within you. And then Hyrith, Hyrith is longing for home and feeling homesick for the stars. Now, The thing that happens with Leo season is that we also get what's called the Lion's Gate, which is this connection to Sirius, which is this massive star. And this is where we get a big pouring in of conscious wisdom that is coming from way outside of our solar system. Okay. Now, even a year ago, me saying that, you'd have been like, all right, Lauren, whatever. But I think 2020 is waking people up now that the world is a lot bigger, right, than we think it is. And also, who else feels like we're in the Truman Show? Who else feels like, we're in the movie Idiocracy, and it's like, is the world even real anymore? And so what we are experiencing is what's known as the waking up, right? Samadhi. It is everybody understanding that we are playing these roles and we've been given these roles. And the question is like, are we going to transcend the roles and make our own stories and dictate our own fates? Or are we just going to keep, being in the gerbil wheel? And that is what awakening is all about. That is what consciousness is all about, is understanding that all of this knowingness can just become depressing as fuck. Like, I say it all the time, like, can I get off the ride now? Like, ignorance is bliss. I was talking to my therapist about that last night. And that is where the samadhi, like the Buddhism, the non-attachment, the gratitude in the moment, and the be here now. That's why every major guru and teacher always comes back to the very simplistic understanding of like, everything we're looking for is within us right now. And that is, it's gratitude, it's present moment awareness. And so it is this aspect of like, loosen your grip, coping mechanisms, like just stop trying to control everything. And it's time to move into surrender. It's time to move into bravery. It's time for us, because you will, no matter what, like the world is doing shadow work, and we've had a big period of shadow work, and any shadow worker knows you can't stay in the shadow all the time. Like the shadow it's not healthy to stay in it all the time. You go in and you go out, you take rest periods, and you need time to integrate it. You need time to integrate the awareness that you got, because if you could just get sucked down into the underworld. Any good priestess of the underworld or shadow worker knows that you don't stay there forever. Okay. You have to let the shadow be integrated. Otherwise, you'll just see it as compulsion, or you'll just see it as like this negative aspect of who you are. And you might end up just disliking yourself even more, which builds the shadow, right? So it's all about this balance of like love and grace, and like slow down, slow down, slow down. And I believe that's a little bit of what Leo season is going to be bravery. It's going to be understanding that, yes, the world is fucked up. It's always been fucked up. And yes, we're noticing our shadow. And also, like, how can we be brave, right? Like, how can we be brave in these moments? And how can we face ourselves? Carl Jung said that there is nothing scarier to a human than facing their own shadow, facing your ego. There's nothing worse. And at this point, I really believe that. I really do. And so, child of the cosmos, the intelligence, the universe lies within you. It is understanding that the world is so much bigger than we could ever understand. And the moment that we think we could name God or the creator or goddess is the moment we lose it, right? That's very Taoistic in its perspective, which is another path that I'm starting to lean into. But it's just like allowing it to be what it is, right? Taking it one step at a time. That's kind of how I know that we had a lot of anxiety come up with the new moon opposing Saturn. And Saturn is very depressing, very rigid. You feel restricted. You feel constricted. I'm ruled by Saturn. Like, I have Saturn in my first house. And so I get that. It is just a heaviness. It feels very concrete on your shoulders. And so, the opposition to Cancer was about flow and alignment. And felt sense of alignment, right? Not like mind sense of alignment like Saturn would want you to do, because Saturn's very judgmental of the right and wrong of the mind. But Cancer is like this sense of like intuition, of like knowing, like, I'm going to flow with this, and this feels forceful to me, right? Flow over force. So it's like, can we like surrender to it? Can we soften to it? Although no matter what, there's somewhere you had to take a stand. All right. There's somewhere in your life you got to take a stand before you can soften. You got to state your boundaries. You got to state your needs. You got to stop taking care of everybody else so that you can stop and take care of yourself for a second, so you don't grow in that moody, broody resentfulness that Cancer the crab can do. Like, we all know that mother, right, that takes care of everyone until they're completely burnt out and unnourished, and then they're really resentful and they just kind of like explode on you for like 2 years of shit. That's the lower expression of Cancer, right? So there is that need to be able to express and take responsibility for setting your own boundaries. I've always heard that when you have growing resentment, like it's because you didn't take the responsibility to set the boundary first. And so it's time to kind of like step back, notice the areas in which you feel like you're being impeded upon, and then finding the communication to be able to state those boundaries with compassion, and then hold them, right? That's what Saturn's there for, is to help you hold and create a firmament around those boundaries so you can nurture yourself too. It's like drinking from an empty cup, or like the idea of like you got to put, the mask on yourself before you put it on your children in the airplane kind of thing. It's very similar to that. All right. And then the last one is Hereth, which is longing for home, homesick for the stars. I think everybody that I know is just kind of like, this is really hard. And it is really hard. But it's also what we came here to do. It's our souls came here to raise the elevation or the frequency of this planet so that the world could stop seeing everything as so separate, because we're all together. We're all one, right? So all of that being said, it doesn't mean that our egos aren't going to get hurt. My ego got hurt. My ego's been getting hurt. Like, it isn't the thing that we think it is, right? And it's complicated, but it just requires to slow down, reconnect to the breath, recenter. And that requires nurturance, right? So let's talk really quickly about some of the transits this week. Where did I put my little thingy? Here it is. We are on Wednesday. The major thing on Wednesday is the fact that the sun moves into Leo, and I believe Uranus in Taurus is in a sextile to Mercury. And let me see. Yes, Mercury sextiles Uranus today. And this is like going to happen for the next couple of days. So this is all about new mindsets, new perspectives, new connections, new friends, new podcasts, like things that are very communication and relating focused. So that is going on. It started this morning. It will go for the next couple of days. And then, the moon is in Leo right now too. But it is moving into Virgo. So it's going to be like all the task list. It's like time to purge and get shit done. The moon is starting to wax, meaning it's gaining energy again as we move towards the full moon. All right. So tomorrow, Thursday, Mercury is going to square Mars. Mercury square Mars is, and that's in Cancer, to Aries, is like, it is the boundary setting that I was just talking about. Aries will give you the ability to say what you need to say and set your boundaries, but it might be very harsh, okay? So just take that awareness as best as you can. The best way I know to deal with Aries, I have an Aries moon, is it is reaction or response over reaction. You have to be responsible for understanding how strongly you want to blow up when you hear something the first time. So I'm coming back to this. Mars and Aries is all about reaction versus and projection versus response and contemplation. It's just very instinctual. It's just like, bitch, no, it's like very explosive. So just take that into consideration. Friday, the moon moves into Libra. So we're going to be trying to balance, find those senses of friendships are going to become very important again. Communication, a sense of connection, and like equal energy exchange is going to be important. You might also see a rise in social justice movements. Saturday, Venus is going to square Neptune. So Venus is still in her retro shade. She's going to be direct on the 29th, completely out of all of that next week. But this is an illusion in relationships. All right. Squares are always challenging. So you might feel like you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. And then Sunday, the moon is going to square Pluto. And that is going to be the first quarter moon in Scorpio. It's going to be all the feels. It's going to be all the heels. It's going to be all the illusions coming up and like feeling all the things. And friends, I have to tell you, it is just deeper shadow work. So, take the time to try to nurture yourself while you can before we get there. Understand that Mars is going to square Mercury for about a week. So it's just going to be really intense communications going on. Understand, what do you want? One of the best things one of my teachers told me last year, I love this so much, I use it all the time, is do you want to be right or do you want to be in relationship? Okay. Which one do you want? Like, you're the only one that can decide that. Which one is more valuable to you? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be in a relationship? Once you get clear on what you want, then you wait until you're at about a 7, maybe a 6, so that you can hold your composure and that you can do this peaceably and with response and contemplation and a wise mind, versus just like an emotional mind that is just overwhelmed by all of the world that is going on right now. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful to you guys for the Astro Forecast this week. The Mystic Musings Extended will be up later today, and I love you guys. Talk to you later. Okay.